again our listeners of the Uongozini program. This is your host, Reverend Dr. Robert Waihenya. I'm glad to host you, this being the first Monday of the month of March. And as we continue approaching now the week of Easter, and as we prepare for this holy month and preparing to celebrate the death and the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ, with us today we have our guest, the NCCK General Secretary, Reverend Canon Chris Kenyajui. Many of you know him. He has been so focal on matters governance of this country and beyond. And he has been kind of a lone voice, trying to tell the government this is the way. And therefore today, as we gather together with our viewers, today we want to look at the state of the nation with Reverend Canon Chris Kenyajui. Welcome our viewers, and I take this opportunity to welcome our guest, the Reverend Canon Chris Kenyajui. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe you can start by telling us who, maybe there's those viewers who have never heard about you or seen you or met you. So maybe you can start by telling us who is Reverend Canon Chris Kenyajui.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Canon Chris Kenyajui. I'm the General Secretary of the National Council of Churches of Kenya since 2019 October. And NCCK is the voice of the people. Our motto is for wananchi. We bring together 50 organizations with a population of about 17 million Kenyans who are Christians who attend our congregations, about 50,000 congregations across the country. We bring together churches such as the Church of God, the PEFA Church, the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, the Anglican Church, the Methodist Church, several churches across the country. And that is why we believe that when we speak, we don't just speak, we actually listen to the members of our congregations, and therefore we are able to harvest and to have the heartbeat of the nation.
Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That is our guest. And for how long have you been in this office?
I think this is my 5th year.
5th year.
Yes.
Good, thank you. So he is somebody who is well versed with the politics of Kenya, the politics of the church, and all the churches across, heading a congregation of 17 million. So he is the best suited person to have today as we discuss the state of the nation and discussing matters governance as far as our country is concerned. And therefore, welcome to the studio. I welcome all of you to participate, and therefore our SMS number is 011-122-0044. Kindly get in touch with us, also on Facebook and X at Kirk TV Kenya. Get in touch with us so that we have an interactive debate as we look at matters governance. Now, Bwana GS, a week ago we saw images of our president, Honorable His Excellency Honorable William Ruto, with the president of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and also our former Prime Minister, Honorable Raila Omolo Odinga, who is being fronted to head the AU. And on your Twitter handle, when that picture came out, you commented and said, Psalms 133. Yes. What did you mean?
I think all of us know what Psalms 133 says. It talks about how blessed is it when brothers or brethren dwell together in unity and in love. It compares it to the anointing on the head of Aaron and the anointing oil going down the beard of Aaron and the dew of Mount Hermon. And if you look at my tweets, somewhere February, March last year, I tweeted another picture, which was a meeting in 2013 of President Uhuru Kenyatta, the Deputy President then, who is President now, President Ruto, Raila Odinga was in the picture, and the former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka. They were all in a picture, very happy and kind of embracing each other. 2013.
Wow.
So I posted that picture because if Kenyans can remember, in last year, around January, the drum beats of Maandamano were in our ears and our streets and our screens. And Kenyans were very worried what's going to become of Kenya. And for us within the religious sector, we had several reflections to look at what happens to the country, and we all agreed the guiding principle would be Psalms 133. Basically, we were working to see that the President, Ruto, and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga hold meaningful talks that bring the country to a stability. Because we felt on one hand, President Ruto won the election and fair and square. And the agenda that the government was running with is not going to be properly implemented if the former Prime Minister continues with the Maandamano. And we felt that if they all sat together, whatever the dispute was is a political dispute, that a political solution can be found. And it's unfortunate that it has taken us 1 year. So that is why I was very happy when I saw the pictures of our president and the president of Uganda and the former prime minister grazing some Ankole cows somewhere in Uganda. And their body language spoke of unity and peace and brotherly love. And that is when I remembered what we were discussing in February, March last year. So this is a good sign for Kenya when our leaders can sit down and can agree, because we wouldn't like to see the Maandamano that we saw last year. Yes.
Good. That is beautiful. How beautiful it is for people who are living in the same house, living in unity. That was the message from the GS, NCCK. And now, still on this matter of the truce between the Prime Minister and now our President, some people or some Kenyans are saying this is not good for the nation because they cannot imagine Kenyan politics without Raila. And they cannot imagine, and more so the opposition politics, because they are feeling like we're going to lose on the area of having checks and balances for the government. So what is your take on that? Do you think this is good for our nation? Or how do you feel it as far as our politics are concerned? If, and I'm saying if, the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, decides to quit Kenyan politics and now join the international politics at the AU?
I think your question is very loaded. Let's deal with the easier one first. Is it okay for the President and the former Prime Minister to hold talks and to discuss matters of national concern? Yes. That has been our call as religious leaders, to make sure that our top leadership, the two top candidates who vied for the highest office in the land, that is the office of the presidency, that they talk. The first phase of the talks, we have seen that they have done the previous team that was called the bipartisan team that was put together, led by the parliamentary leadership, which failed. Later on, there was the July-August National Dialogue Committee that was formed, which has written a report. The report has been adopted by Parliament, and I have seen that Parliament has published a number of bills that are going to implement it. So I think it's a call for all Kenyans to support that initiative. I think our top leadership have done what they are required to do. Sit down and talk. And then the committee they appointed has done their work, put together the team. I think now every Kenyan needs to read those bills, to look at the pros and cons of those bills, and then together we can be able to shape our destiny as a country, both in terms of constitutional, political, and economy of our future. So on that end, I'm very happy. There's also the other end you have asked about the candidacy of the former Prime Minister for the African Union Commission. We all know this is not the first time that a Kenyan has vied to become the chair of the African Commission. We had Honorable Amina Mohamed, our former Minister of Foreign Affairs. She had a bid, and if my memory serves me correct, she only failed because of about 3 votes.
Right,
and she didn't get the position. So this is our second stab at the position. I'm happy that the former Prime Minister has accepted to try it out. And it is also aligning because the East African region is supposed to be the one producing the candidate. So this is the time for us to apply all our diplomatic resources to make sure that we talk and lobby our neighbors, so that first of all, I'll be happy to see that there is no other candidate from East Africa that rises up. So that once the former Prime Minister Raila presents himself for this election, I'm told it's about 7-8 months, that he is opposed, he is elected and opposed. But if there is another candidate, that eventually he emerges as the winner. And I think because these are, the states are the voters, the states are the voters. So the states in Africa are much easier for the diplomatic prowess that our Kenyan Foreign Minister Mudavadi has and his team. We have a lot that they will do their work, and also the Prime Minister will do his work, and that he wins this position. This is going to place Kenya in the world map, because one of our own is going to occupy a critical diplomatic position in Africa, and working together with the government of Kenya, and the people of Kenya, he can be able to place Kenya in the map of the world. So it's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
On the other question about the opposition, I think Kenyans must realize that opposition in Kenya is not Raila Odinga, and Prime Minister Raila Odinga is not the opposition. And I think this is time for all Kenyans to call themselves to a meeting and ask themselves, what do they want with their country? The elected MPs, the elected senators, the elected governors, who are supposed to really deliver for them. And the former Prime Minister has been a leader since the 60s and 70s. And I think perhaps it is time for new leadership to emerge. Both in government, we have seen now the cabinet have younger people.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that old people have no role, but I think he's also going perhaps to provide a space for growth of alternative leadership within what we call the opposition. And just to bring this to bear is that under the new constitution we have the minority leader and the majority leader. We have the minority party and the majority party.
Right.
The minority party is the one that has less members in the House. And that happens to be the Azimio group.
Yeah.
So the Azimio leadership.
Second one.
Yes,
Yeah.
the second one.
Yeah.
So the Azimio leadership have very good leadership within Parliament. And I think this is a generational transmission of leadership. There are those who may have a bit of jitters or fears, but I think they should be assured that Kenya is strong, the people of Kenya are resilient, and obviously new leadership is going to emerge. Even in Luo Nyanza and Nyanza generally, where the Prime Minister has played a key role, we are seeing a lot of people being suggested as possible successors.
Yeah.
And succession is not always clean. It's a bit messy and noisy. But I think it's going to be very creative in terms of how we see new leadership emerging, new voices, and the people of Kenya to cheer them on and to play their role in terms of development and in terms of nurturing devolution and in terms of nurturing unity.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, Lyra is not the opposition. An opposition is not Lyra. And therefore, it is very clear that we are getting into a very interesting transitional season, whereby we are going to see tables turn, and as the GS says, very interesting times. It's going to be messier times, but we are going to have a change of guard, definitely. So that is very interesting. Now that brings us to the other question. With all these changes and what is happening, what is the role of the church? Do we have any role in handling this, the church in general? Because what I've seen is that the church, apart from you, whom I've seen talk about this, I've not seen the church really come out, guiding or saying anything. It's like the church is silent on this. What is the role of the church at this critical moment of transition for Kenya? What do you think?
Well, I think this is a critical moment to say the least. I think I'll answer it in two ways. First of all, is the role of the citizen. The citizen in Kenya, if you read Article 1, is the sovereign. So the citizen plays a very key role in voting new leaders and also holding them to account and giving them feedback, being involved in public participation. And most importantly also, paying taxes. It's one of the responsibilities. So the office of the citizen is permanent. You are born into it and you die in it. And there is a very big role that is right there. And the personal agency is very much needed. Now, the church is formed by the people. God ordained that there will be communities of fellowship of people. So when people come together, they're able to exchange ideas. And for example, in NCSK now, we bring all those people together and those voices together. And when we meet, we ask ourselves, what are you hearing? What are you seeing? How are you finding the policies that the government is implementing, and so on and so forth. And I think that role is still going to be played by the church. But the church plays what I can call the conscience of the society. When there's a bit of pressure on one hand, the the church can be able to voice it and say, hey, hii kiatu inatufinya sana. Can we adjust the shoe? That kind of work. If there is injustice, for example, in the community, the church will come out and stand on the side of justice. And that is the ministry that Christ gave to us.
Yeah.
If you read the book of Luke, when Jesus stood up, he said, I'm anointed, I've come to free the oppressed, to declare the year of the Lord's favor, to make sure that those who are blind are able to see, and so on and so forth. And therefore, it is actually not an option for the church and Christians to be on the side of justice. And when one person is treated unfairly in an unjust situation, it's like the whole group is being taken through injustice. And that is what we learned from the story of the Samaritan. A man who was beaten by thugs, he was abandoned, and Jesus, when he gave that parable, he said the priest came and passed. The Levite came and passed. But the Samaritan, who was a rejected group, a mixed blood of Gentiles and Jew, he is the one who took the sick man and took care of him. So Jesus wanted to show that the church can be indifferent to injustice. And the Levites could also be busy trying to do services, trying to go and baptize people and bury people. But at the same time, there is a role to play for the priest to actually take care of those that are going through pain and injustice. And when Jesus gave that example, the Good Samaritan is the one who is, because the question was, who is my neighbor?
You're right.
So when we think about justice, when we think about what is happening to our neighbor, when we talk about what is happening to the people who are disabled, or to women, for example, or to men, or to the elderly that we see being killed every day in Coast, and so on. These are all issues of justice. And we need to then be like the Good Samaritan and take care of our neighbor.
Very well. Thank you. Yes, we need to do that. And maybe something which has just crossed my mind, and I need to ask you. You are leading a very huge congregation, so many churches. Can you say that the church is united on these matters of justice, governance, their perspective of, are we united as a church? How is the unity of the church right now? Because the reason why I'm asking that, if I can maybe guide more, there have been some undertones that the evangelicals and Pentecostals are not reading from the same page. Is that the position, or how is the church united? Because Jesus also said, until you become one, then I come. So is the church united?
Jesus never said that.
He did. I'll give you the text. Yeah, I'll give you the text.
Jesus prayed in John 17.
Yes.
I pray for them that they may be one.
Yes. Then
as you and I are one. So unity is an aspiration, not a destination. And that, I think, from a theological and philosophical position, is something that we want. It's just like families. I've quoted Psalms 133. How blessed it is when brethren dwell together in unity. Because you and your brothers and your sisters may not always see things from the same script or from the same side. But that does not say that you're not a family. You are still a family even if you disagree. And in fact, in a democratic society, it is very critical that people have different interpretation of reality and phenomena. So having said that, I think it is very critical to say that Kenya is blessed with very many shades and colors of the Christian faith.
Yeah.
They are the Pentecostals, the Evangelicals, the Charismatics, the independent, African independent churches. So, and then of course we have the Muslims and the Hindus. And we all work together with them.
Yeah.
On matters of national concern. So we have, but if you look at our text, we are all united in one thing.
Yeah.
Unity.
Yeah.
All of them preach unity. All of them preach love. All of them actually preach peace. That when a country or and all of them also preach about the neighbor.
Yeah.
Take care of the neighbor.
Yeah.
And that's why they give what we give as sadaka or zaka or whatever it is given, so that then it helps the needy, the orphans, the widows, and those who are in the fringes of society. So political matters are very divisive, because what is just injustice to one person could be justice for another person.
Yeah.
And but when it comes to Kenya right now, as we speak, there is a general consensus, for example, that we need a peaceful country. And that is why you have seen there's a lot of support from the ground for the union and the semblance of unity between the president and the prime minister.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is also why when why we have the presidency, because the presidency is the symbol. The president represents the symbol of national unity.
You're right.
He is the father of the nation.
You're right.
And the father is able to unite, even if the brothers are not seeing eye to eye, to unite them together.
Yeah.
The church also is a very big unifier. Because of our faith in God, the church plays a role of bringing together the unity of the communities. We have been very active in Sondu as NCCK, together with other churches, to resolve the border disputes right there. We are also very active with, working with the North Rift Economic Bloc.
You're right.
To work on our northern counties to resolve the insecurity that has been there, largely driven by cattle rustling and just no more kind of criminals.
Yeah.
We are basically in every theater where there is insecurity to bring peace there. And these are things that we work together, not just as NCSK member churches, but also with other faiths. Right now we are running several meetings across the counties, and you have been seeing us in the media issuing statements. This is the unity that we need.
You're right.
Not of one faith, not of Muslims or Christians only, but bringing ourselves together.
Yeah.
And the good example is the last election, where we worked together, the Muslims, the Hindus, the Christians, and we prayed for this country at a critical juncture.
You're right.
We ensured that the country had a peaceful election. We supported the IEBC to deliver on elections.
Yeah.
We mediated after the elections.
Yeah.
And you saw us in meetings with different actors like President Uhuru,
You're right.
the current President Ruto, and also the Minister Raila.
Yeah.
So we see ourselves as one. So we cannot say that there's a difference between the left hand and the right hand. Yes.
Very good. Thank you so much. Yes, this you cannot get it from any other person apart from the GS himself. Yes, talking boldly and telling us the state of the nation and how the government continues to relate with the church in general, not just one denomination, but the congregation of all the churches which forms the NCCK. And he has also been able to explain to us it is not just those churches affiliated with NCCK, There is also all the other churches in all the other forums. So we thank God. Now we are going to take a short break, but remember that we are still receiving your messages through SMS number 011 122 0044. We are also on Facebook and also at X, and this is at CAC TV Kenya. When we come back, we will continue with the questions. We'll get a short script, and then we continue with other questions. Welcome as we take a short break. Thank you.
Losing a loved one is always not an easy experience. You need a friend to walk with. At only 10,000 Kenya shillings, the new CAC TV value-added obituaries will offer the following features. A heartfelt video in English and Kiswahili that combines the death announcement, funeral arrangements, and a personalized tribute to your loved one, all within a single video. The video will be broadcasted on CAC TV in both English and Swahili, reaching a wider audience. The family will receive the videos on WhatsApp, enabling them to share with family and friends, even those in the diaspora. To reserve your slot or learn more, please reach out to the CAC TV at 0111 220044 or 011 0090647. That is 0111 220044 or 011 0090647. Thank you in advance for considering CAC TV's value-added obituaries. CAC TV is here to support Kenyans in commemorating and celebrating the lives of your departed ones.
Welcome back, our listeners. We continue with the show, and Reverend Canon Chris Kenyanjui, the GS, continues to take us through the state of the nation as far as church and the government is concerned. Now, Bwana GS, yes, we look at the issue of NCCK. And you've been one person who've been asking about and questioning and saying the cost of living has really gone up. And you've been very vocal against the increased taxes. And this is an issue where the government has continued to maintain that there are no two ways. They must continue to increase the taxation so that they can be able to govern and to help our nation move forward. So we're going to listen to one of the clips and a soundbite which you talked about this matter some times back, and then you tell us exactly what did you mean, how do you take this, and where are we as a nation. So let us listen to the soundbite, and then you tell us exactly what does this mean for our nation as far as taxation is concerned.
The current administration of Kenya Kwanza was supported by the church. And in a way, that is true and correct. However, our church members are saying, although they supported Kenya Kwanza, they did not support Kenya Kwanza to increase taxes. Yes, they voted for Kenya Kwanza, but they did not support the Kenya Kwanza to increase taxes. They also did not give Kenya Kwanza the mandate to charge them the housing levy for houses they don't need. They also are saying that they don't want to be charged more for health, like NHIF, increasing it, and also the other taxes that have been increased. They are also complaining that they are seeing KRA officials going to their farms to count their chicken, to count their pigs, and to count their donkeys. The policies that he is implementing are hurting Kenyans. The policies he is implementing is causing an outcry of Kenyans from all walks of life. The people are saying their payslips have been raided in a way that has never been seen before. And our call to him is that in times like this, he needs to listen to the people, he needs to change the course so that the pain that people are expressing then comes to an end.
Yeah, that is your soundbite. What is your take? Because yes, people are complaining. You are the person on the ground and you are receiving all these information from the pastors across. So how are we, and what is your take on this at this point in time?
Yes, I think the truth is, and that is what we had 100 pastors in that meeting across the country, 47 counties, and they shared their stories. We met there for about 2 days in Limuru, and there's one pastor who would say that I used to get 2 or 3 people coming to ask for food, maybe one person looking for school fees, and another person looking for some money to go and pay for some health need. But now the number has gone up by 5 or 10 times that. One of the pastors was narrating in the city where 10 of his members in 1 month came to him because they could not pay rent. Their house had been locked. You know the way landlords lock another lock? And these are people with children and families and so on. So the desperation among this populace is very, very high. So when the people are in that kind of a need, that is why the question that now we were answering, because it was a media briefing, and we had given a pastoral letter, which we felt was the most appropriate way to speak to the government and also to speak to Kenyans. Because the outcry is, unless it is addressed, is likely to get worse. The taxes, because we started off with the Finance Act. When the Finance Act was in draft, we issued several statements saying the people of Kenya are going to get hurt by the provisions that were there. And you remember there was the increase of the VAT on fuel from 8% to, I think, 16%.
Yeah.
Now, what fuel does to the economy is just like fuel. It fuels the economy.
Exactly.
So when the taxes go up, they hurt the entire economy. So the border guy charges you more, the matatu charges you more, the portion meal charges you more, and generally everything else. Because everything is transported using the fuel, then the cost of living goes up. And when we did a survey, our own internal survey, over 70% of people said the cost of living was high. There are other opinion polls that had been done prior to ours, and they reflected the same thing. NCSK is also aware, because we have been discussing this matter, not just with Kenya Kwanza government, but also with the previous Jubilee government, about the public debt. We know the public debt has also skyrocketed.
You're right.
We are running a budget deficit that is so huge, that it is unsustainable. And we have raised this with the former president and with the current president, and we will continue to raise it, because I think it is our duty as the church to be the conscience of society and say, hey, we are headed in the wrong direction here. Can we take corrective action? So I think it's not just for the church or for NCSK to speak. We have seen the Catholic Church also speaking about it. We have seen the Muslims also speaking about it. And I think last week I saw farmers in Gatanga who farm macadamia, nuts, and avocado, also raising the question. And I think the issue is not whether or not we should collect taxes. Even Jesus said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. I think the question is about proportionality.
You're right.
So that the taxation system is based on equity. That is, it's an equitable, it's equitable, and then there is public participation. For example, farmers who are farming macadamia, maybe they can pay tax, but how is it collected? How does a farmer in Gatanga have e-teams, for example? You know? So you need a smartphone and so on and so forth. Of course, there are farmers that can be able to do that. I think those are questions that I think needs to be discussed.
So that we have the right infrastructure,
yes,
the right education, public participation, and people be enlightened, because people are being bombarded with issues they don't understand.
Yes, I think that has been the challenge of the taxation. And then also, taxation also happens to be, it's a duty. I don't know whether we wrote it in the Constitution or not, but whether it's there or not, every Kenyan has a duty to pay tax.
Yeah, you're right.
But that duty should be commensurate with their level of income, with the sector they're involved in, and so on and so forth. I think that is the conversation that we are asking the Parliament, the KRA and others, to actually be able to engage with the people and say, this is something that we can do. We need to fund our budget. But also Parliament, and because they are the ones who have the power of the purse. The power of the purse is in Parliament. So I think it is also important for us to, as the church, to educate Kenyans that the taxes they are being, that they are thinking are overbearing. The burden of tax has not been placed there by anyone else. It has been placed there by the man or woman you elected as a member of Parliament or as a senator, because they are the ones who have the power of the purse. That is our constitution. And I think that is where, how now the citizens' awareness is important, so that then they are able to talk to their members of Parliament. Unfortunately, our members of Parliament are complaining like ordinary Kenyans. I find that interesting.
You're right.
So they need to take up their role and be able to change some of the areas. Of course, they can make mistakes, but that is why they can amend the law to correct their own mistakes.
Yeah, good. Now, there have been complaints that our wage bill is far too high. And actually, even in accordance to international standards, it is said we cannot be able to develop if we maintain that high wage bill. Do you think it's time we had this very crucial conversation, which is, okay, fine, we don't have an alternative system, but which is not purely politically led, so that we also ask ourselves, are our 47 counties tenable? The number of parliamentarians we have tenable? You know, is it time for us to start engaging in this kind of a conversation so that we get to know what is hurting us as Kenyans as far as this kind of a wage bill is concerned?
I'm not really an economist, but having listened to many, because you know we really consult a lot of economists to ask what are the options that we have as Kenyans to deal with the current scenario. In 2010, we enacted a new constitution. And that constitution created the second layer of government, the county governments. And then the national layer, where the national government sits.
Yeah.
What you will be shocked is that we maintained the national government as if we don't have county governments. And we almost established the county governments as if the national government does not exist.
Exactly.
So we are paying for two governments,
Implication.
or two establishments,
Right.
very heavy. The economists tell us we are paying more than a trillion to sustain the wage bill. I know there has been previous processes. It has political risks for the government, but it is my hope that some conversations are started around the restructuring of the public service. It's a painful thing, but I don't see any other way than dealing with it. And perhaps this government has to start that conversation and basically to be bold enough to say we have restructured the rest of the economy. Now it's time to restructure the public sector.
Exactly.
So that we also get value from it. There's much, much more value where we put money in infrastructure and in growing the businesses, especially the SMEs. But the SMEs cannot grow unless there is demand for those goods. And obviously, we need to complete the transition from a central government to a devolved government. There is no problem whatsoever with having 47 county governments. We have a problem because we never transited. So you'll find that, for example, Ministry of Agriculture. Agriculture is a devolved function under the 2010 Constitution. But you'll find there are thousands and thousands of workers in the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yeah.
So you ask yourself, what do they do the whole month? And how much cost do they incur on the public wage bill? And why are they not in the county? When you go to the county, we have several programs around agriculture.
You're right.
There are not enough staff at the county level that can support farmers. We used to have extension workers. We never have them anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it will be important for us to say health is a devolved function. Surely we can't have 7,000 workers in the Ministry of Health. They need to be in the counties. Because the counties are like running 95% of the health services in the country. So it is true that, but it is, I hear people saying, let's reduce the number of counties. I don't think that is a good approach to this. Let's keep the counties at 47. Let's build them. The next generation can determine what they will do with them, but let us take resources where they are needed. And when I say resources, not just money, it is also human resource.
Yeah.
Let's take them to the counties, because that is where the theater of development is.
Exactly.
In other words, if you look at Schedule 4, you will only have very few ministries at the national level. Perhaps you'll have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Security and Interior, the Ministry of Defense. The national government is also in charge of international trade and so on, and international integration. Agriculture, cooperatives, health, all those things are devolved. So we can actually save a lot of the country's resources by placing them where they are needed.
Yeah.
There is also all this group of government bureaucracies called regional development authorities.
Yeah.
And they are huge. And they have big budgets. Why are they there when we have counties? Actually, there is conflict. They don't work very well with counties.
Right.
So I think we need to have a conversation around devolution.
Exactly.
And say, if it's Kerio Valley, the function that are in the Kerio Valley Development Authority could be perhaps better done by NOREB,
Right.
which covers a bigger area and has a mandate, and so on and so forth. I'm just giving that as an example. The Lake Basin, for example, you have the lake base, the counties at the lake have an economic block. That could be the new parameter.
Yeah.
But those kind of reform require a lot of strong support and goodwill from all the actors, and especially from the state to push it to an end.
Thank you. My director is telling me that we are short of time, but I still wanted to ask you 3 more questions. I wanted to know about your take about the security in Kenya, about the issue of the homicide we are witnessing. But just in a nutshell, as you cover all those issues, I wanted to ask, do you feel like the country we call Kenya is headed in the right direction? You can sum up all those issues in 3 minutes, whether we are heading in the right direction in terms of political, socio-economic matters, security, and also matters family. So what do you think? Are we heading in the right direction?
Well, insecurity has always been there. In the first book of Genesis, we find a brother killing a brother. That is quite a big blot in humankind. So for Kenya, I think the first thing is to say that the government needs to do much more because we have challenges of terrorism.
You're right.
And this is not something that has happened yesterday. I think it's more than 20-year-old problem. And it is very important for us to come up with more modern and better strategies to deal with terrorism. Terrorism destroys our tourism.
You're right.
And our tourism is one of the major foreign earners. It is picking up, so it is very important to safeguard and consolidate the gains that we have made so far. We have seen the government has done a lot in terms of containing the violence in the north, and we hope that this is going to be dealt with more firmly and with more community participation. And it was exacerbated by the drought, and we are hoping that as climate change continues to affect us, we must come up with new ways of how to also deal with climate change, because the people in the north rely on livestock, and we lost millions of livestock during the last drought and famine that affected that part of the country. On the femicide, I think it's wrong. We have lost last year, I'm told, about 100 women who are killed by intimate partner. We call it intimate partner fatalities, and I think it is something that we need to
Yeah.
investigate and understand. Why are women being killed in that manner? I've just read when I was coming here, another student was killed somewhere in Thaume.
You're right.
And it would be good for our state authorities to investigate and find out why is it increasing now? Why is it in this manner?
It's not
because there must be something that is driving that.
And it will be very dangerous for us to allow it to look like a normal thing.
Yes.
As it is now tending to look like.
Yes, and because that is the only way you check that a country has an effective government and an effective, citizenry, is you look at how they deal with the weakest, how they deal with children, how they deal with women, how they deal with people with disability, how they deal with widows and the elderly. So we are not scoring very well there. And I think it's not just for the police, but all of us to be vigilant and to report to the authorities when we see these kind of situations happening. We also have some of the catastrophes like we saw in Kirinyaga, where about 23 people died of taking alcohol. The proliferation of distilleries and brewers of alcohol must be contained.
Okay.
And I am an optimist. I think Kenya is going places.
Yeah.
We are the gateway to East Africa, and we just need to do
Good.
the right thing.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you so much. Well, I'm told we must close, but please, my director, allow the GS to just comment on these SMS, which NCCK is advocating and asking us to support for this education. So just have a minute.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Viewers, we, as NCCK, we have come up with a creative way that you can support your neighbor, that child who cannot access secondary education. We want you, and we're asking you to donate only 1 shilling and 50 cents daily, and that child will be able to go to school. So you take your phone and you go to SMS, you write an SMS written Elimu, you write the word Elimu to 29888. Elimu to 29888. Once you send that message, you confirm that you'll be deducted 1 shilling and 50 cents daily. That money, we want to use it to make sure that every child who is not going to high school right now, we have about 200,000 or so, that they all go to school so that they can also enjoy our beautiful country, just like you and me. God bless you.
Thank you so much. That was the GS NCCK Reverend Canon Chris Kenyajui. Yes, the AND will be running in our CAC TV so that we continue supporting. Thank you, Bwana GS, for affording us time to come and we share. Thank you for all the matters and issues you are able to articulate very well. And I'm sure, and we are sorry because you are not able to respond to your many questions and many correspondences due to time. So thank you so much. May God bless you. Until next time, God bless you. We look forward to meeting right here at CAC TV. And may God bless you. Thank you. Good night.